Okay, Dean Rusk disagrees with you, and he was the Secretary of State at the time, but that's fine.
The communist nations have exploited the turmoil of a time of transition in an effort to extend communist control into other areas of the world.
Thoughts on Dean Rusk and America's involvement in Vietnam? I know next to nothing about that.
Exactly.
Greta Thunberg, who is ruining her youth because she's worried about global warming, which isn't real and has nothing to do with. And she is here today. She is here today with us to just elaborate on
What is her name?
Greta Thunberg.
Please welcome to the United Nations, Greta Thunberg.
Greta Thunberg, everyone. Greta Thunberg. Here we go.
Greta Thunberg.
Greta Thunberg. Here we go. Greta, hello.
Next to speaking, Greta Thunberg.
Do you have, did you bring a fanny pack, Greta?
This
You okay? Would you like some cough syrup? My buddy has some.
This is all wrong. I shouldn't be up here. I should be in school on the other side of the ocean.
Right.
You have stolen my childhood with your racist and sexist humor, pornographic interludes, and excessive T-shirts for sale on the Compound Media website.
Are you saying they're excessively priced, or they're excessive? They're excessive in the amount.
And I'm one of the lucky ones.
Okay.
People are suffering. Brooklyn people are dying, choking on their own vomit.
They are.
We are in the beginning of a mass extinction, and all you can talk about is hongers, basketball Americans, and Trinity St. Clair. How dare you! For more than 3 years, you have been on the air with your drinking, ethnic slurs, and consistently losing American football picks. How dare you continue? How dare you continue to look away and say that your free speech network is for the betterment of society when you have produced such atrocities such as Gavin McInnes, Shane Gillis, and Bill Schultz? The point is, no matter how sad and angry I am, nobody will sit with me at lunch.
Why are you putting hairspray?
You didn't see that.
No, I did not, Greta. We did not. You were complaining yesterday about global warming, and you just polluted that plastic that's hard to recycle and threw it into my little abyss thing. There you go. Do you know Bill Schultz?
You single?
I've never had a pony.
Now, is it possible? Now, how old are you, Greta?
I'm 16.
16. All right. When the gander's away, the mice will play. Now, don't you think as a 16-year-old you should be doing 16-year-old stuff? Don't you think like you should be out hanging out with your friends, maybe getting ready for college, maybe fucking the guy you nanny for, like stuff like that, grown-up shit. You ever think about that?
My only friend is Tilly, the class hamster. He's all I have.
Billy the class hamster, that's really a thing?
How dare you?
There you go. How dare you? All right,
Gino, ask how she would recommend that we do clean up the environment. What action could we take?
Yeah, how should we clean up the environment and or our show? Obviously, fire Bill Schultz. We've been working on that. He's in flip-flops. This will take care of itself. What else?
Everything, obviously.
I don't.
You should be doing everything. You should be talking to people smarter than you. You should be crying in front of every camera you can.
How old are you, 16? You ever have alcohol?
I'm 16.
You ever have alcohol, pretty girl? Huh?
I feel
You want to be cool, don't you? All the cool kids are drinking. Come on. All the cool kids do it. You don't look like you could fill out a police report. Come on, sweetie. Huh?
This is all wrong.
You ever play Grand Theft Auto in real life?
I have to go.
Where are you going? You can
Greta,
shout.
quick question. What the fuck happened to the left side of your face?
It's called, look, I
just farted and it was
highly
clear.
autistic. I am not mentally ill.
Right.
I am a high-functioning, I have OCD. I am autistic, and I'm left-handed.
Next question. Why did you look at President Trump with such anger when he walked by you yesterday?
Because He is all wrong. I just think he's big and scary. And he's very loud. This country's very loud and smelly. Especially you.
Yeah, that's why I smell like booze and sadness.
You have stolen my childhood.
No, I'm
Give it
trying to,
back.
but you won't drink the whiskey, cutie.
Give it back.
Live from New York, it's Saturday night!
Ladies and gentlemen, Greta Thunberg with her, one day after her disdain for the environment.
Climate activist Greta Thunberg has returned to protest.
Time Magazine Person of the Year, the youngest in their history.
Overwhelming support for Greta Thunberg.
At 16 years of age, she has become the face of the climate change fight.
She's hijacking the news cycle through hashtags, viral moments.
Taking on climate change head on, pulling no punches. Her passionate speeches have drawn attention all over the world.
People are concerned that the premise of your school strike was never actually the innocent thing that it was. Did Reinshog accidentally run into you, or was it orchestrated by your parents well beforehand? I'm allowed to do this. Where are we? Hong Kong? China? No, this is Sweden.
Do you have ID?
Why are people who are critical of Greta not allowed to be anywhere near the action? Hey, what are you doing? Don't touch me.
You don't want to tell the world who's paying you?
Nobody has bothered to dig deep into the rise of her messiahhood until now. If someone starts to pull that one thread, then it will all come collapsing down. Who do you think you are? I'm asking questions.
Yes.
I want to ask Greta some questions.
Yes.
Don't touch me. What are you doing? You apologize for hitting me?
Hitting you?
Yes.
Bullshit.
You punched me in the gut 3 times. Your hands on me wasn't a part of this. You didn't need to be a part of this. You could have left me alone. Turned out fine, didn't it? You could have left me alone. You didn't, and it's gonna blow back on you. How does a 15-year-old girl bewitch the world? She doesn't, at least not alone. Greta Thunberg's rise to fame over the course of several months is not nearly as innocuous as it might appear from the outside. Rather, Greta's rise was facilitated by elites from around the world. The campaign to canonize Greta as a saint in the eyes of the world's leftist Zoomers and Boomers alike was coordinated, it was orchestrated and executed nearly flawlessly. Nobody has bothered to dig deep into the rise of her messiahhood until now. I've just landed in Stockholm, Sweden to do just that, to expose the lies that Greta's handlers have built her movement on. Chinks in Greta's armor only began to appear after she had bewitched the world, not before. Greta's sadistic side was exposed when she told her raging supporters that the movement needed to put their opponents against a wall.
World leaders are still trying to run away from their responsibilities. But we have to make sure that they cannot do that. We will make sure that we put them against the wall.
Many started to compare her to a modern-day Mao, firing squads and all. But that's not her only Maoist trait. This has been unreported so far, but Rebel News has learned that while Greta was on her intercontinental field trip, Greta had elite, low-profile security that would train kids to act as hidden security to maintain her innocent image. Just like Mao's Red Guard, Greta had a Green Guard. It's not just the authoritarian side of Greta that nobody sees, it's the hypocritic side as well. Remember Greta's Tesla filled to the windows with plastic utensils, grocery bags, water bottles, and imported goods? Well, Greta doesn't want you to see that. She doesn't want you to ask any other questions about her questionable rise to fame. Unfortunately for her and for the people behind her, that is exactly why I came to Sweden. To ask questions that the mainstream media won't. Specifically, I want to ask Greta about the school she's allegedly striking from. The world is under the impression that Greta was a regular student who walked out of class on a Friday. What we have learned is that Greta's education regime isn't really what most people assume it is. Greta, whose childhood has been characterized by severe eating, speaking, and socializing disorders, was actually sent to a school for kids with special needs. This school, Kringla Skola it's called here, doesn't actually have attendance requirements like a regular school does. When the pupils are not feeling well or are sick or are having an episode, well, they're not required to come to class at all. Rather, the parents can keep them at home or take them on an excursion as long as they bring their textbooks. If that is the case for Greta, if she doesn't really have to be in the classroom, she isn't really on a school strike, is she? Her whole viral movement is based on a lie. Luckily, tomorrow is one of Greta's trademark school strikes. I'm going to go there and ask her questions right to her face. Right now, though, I'm going to go check into my hotel and touch base with my publisher, Ezra, and see what else is on the schedule.
No, it's a big assignment, but I found a friend in Sweden who we've worked with before. She's an investigative journalist named Annika Rothstein. Now, in the past, she's reported for us from Venezuela in the middle of their uprising, so she's very courageous. If she's willing to stare down Nicolas Maduro, I think that she can stare down the political correctness in Stockholm, but I'm not completely kidding. We've seen pictures of Greta Thunberg and her mom and dad wearing Antifa clothing. Now that could just be, them acting butch, or maybe they really are backed up by those violent street gangs of the left that are pretty active in Europe. So be careful. Annika's got a good sense of things. She survived Maduro's thugs. She can survive anything Greta has. But I think the number one job for you, Kian, is to ask the questions that the mainstream media won't, and to accept the answers wherever the facts may lead. Is Greta really on a school strike, or is that just some fake backstory? Is her entourage a big corporate PR agency, or is she really living the creed? And finally, if you can find out more about her origins as a global superstar, especially this Ingmar Rentzog, I think those are three big questions that the entirety of the media party has never asked. So it's a big job, but I think you're up for it.
So with that, my cameraman and myself packed up and headed to downtown Stockholm to meet up with Annika, a reporter on the ground who knows lots about the Greta Thunberg saga. We started out at the parliamentary campus, where Greta Thunberg's school strikes originally began. This is the pedestrian walkway surrounding the Swedish parliament, and it is the exact location where Greta Thunberg started staging her alleged school walkouts on August 20th, 2018. It is the exact location where Ingmar Rentzog coincidentally, or at least we're supposed to believe, he just happened to walk by Greta Thunberg on the first few minutes of her very first school strike. Ingmar Rentzog is a financial investor and public relations specialist who just dropped off his son some few kilometers away for kindergarten on his way to work. Now, this location is nowhere near the most likely route of travel, and it's kind of hard to believe that he accidentally stepped off of the metro, walked a few kilometers to get here, and then went back to the metro and then went to work. And it was all a coincidence. It was all a happenstance. That's what they want us to believe. I don't buy it. It was right here at this very spot where Greta Inc. was originally founded. It is right here where the entire saga began, the saga to kickstart a global leftist icon. And we're supposed to believe that it was all a coincidence. It was all an accident. Now, on the day, August 20th, when Greta was found by Ingmar Rentzog, a friendship and business partnership was formed. Very shortly after, Greta was added to an advisory role on Ingmar Rentzog's company, the Facebook for Environmentalists, We Don't Have Time. Ingmar Rentzog used Greta's image to promote his company and make a boatload of cash. Now, Greta says adamantly that she didn't profit from that, but Ingmar, well, he sure did. Now, everybody wants to know what the motivation is behind the people at Greta Inc. and the people pulling the strings. Well, Greta Thunberg's motivation and that of her family was admitted on BBC Radio. Greta Thunberg's father went on BBC and said that her activism is a Xanax of sorts to fix her depression, her selective mutism, and her eating disorders. Listen to him.
I mean, I have two daughters, and to be honest, they're all that matters to me. I just want them to be happy. And I can see Greta is very happy from doing this, and I saw where she was before. I mean, she didn't speak to a single person. She could only eat in her own home. And when she went on this school strike, and I think day 3, someone came along and gave her like pad thai vegan, and she ate it, and that was like, I cannot explain how much what a change that meant to her and to us. And it was just like, she changed, and she could do things that she could never have done before. And now she's just like any other. You think she's not ordinary now because she's special and she's very famous and all these things, but to me she's now an ordinary child. She can do all the things like other people can, and she's happy. She dances around, she laughs a lot, we have a lot of fun, and she's in a very good place.
Now, while this activism is curing Greta Thunberg's depression and mental illness, it's sparking mental illness in youth around the world. Depression has skyrocketed among young people. Many young folks think that the world is ending and life is just not worth living. But I guess that's the price to pay for Greta Thunberg's family.
So when I was 11, I became ill. I fell into depression. I stopped talking and I stopped eating. In 2 months, I lost about 10 kilos of weight. Later on, I was diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome, OCD, and selective mutism.
Now, it's obvious that Greta Thunberg is going to have her selection of whatever Ivy League university she wants to go to, and she'll be making her fortune in due course. But right now, the people making the money are the folks pulling the strings of Greta Inc. It's the people like Al Gore and the industry behind him, the speaking circuits for these green elites around the world. It's the green lobby, it's the green tech that are making the money, putting Greta up on a pedestal to spark this movement so that they can make the bucks.
Would you be able to tell me, you're Greta Thunberg security, who's paying you?
No, I don't want to.
You don't want to tell the world who's paying you?
No, because I don't think the world needs to know who's paying me. So
she demands electric vehicles. She demands that she takes a boat across the ocean, but her security team can drive a gasoline-powered vehicle.
You're a funny guy. No comments.
All right, it's okay. Don't touch me though. Thank you.
Well,
sure, Greta has pulled the wool over our eyes, or at least Greta Inc. has. The people behind her have said, have set this up in a way that looks, in retrospect, really orchestrated, pre-planned out, and there are some people maybe financially benefiting from it even. But people do this kind of thing all the time, these public stunts. It happens all the time. What is the more insidious side of this?
Yeah, I would say that, sure, this is a cynical PR plot on the face of it, but what's behind it is interesting and, in my mind, a little bit scary. Because we know for a fact that the person who inspired, or rather told Greta to start this school strike, is the founder of Extinction Rebellion here in Sweden. This is a guy that has very, very clear political policies. So he has a strategy. We know that he planned this strategy when he sent out a mass email saying that, oh, we need a youthful face to sort of boost the idea, these methods that we're working on, because no one listens to a guy in a suit, so we need a cute young face to promote this political environmentalist agenda. He then reaches out to Greta and tells her that, oh, I had my daughter do this school strike a year ago and that worked really well. Why don't you do this? And she does.
And he said, if I remember correctly, he said his daughter was inspired, or it was his daughter who was inspired by Parkland students. And Greta has said that she was also inspired by Parkland students. So you can see the line sort of drawing between these two. And also on the file of Extinction Rebellion, Greta has said she's giving money to them too.
Yeah, and she went, a lot of times people will plead, the team behind Greta will just plead ignorance and be like, oh, a lot of people like to associate with her, but she has no opinion either way. In this case, this came directly from her own Twitter account, which they claim she runs on her own, where she did this musical collaboration. She was wearing an Antifa shirt at the time. I think a lot of people have seen this photo because members of her family also wore these Antifa shirts, and it was because of this musical collaboration she was doing with a musical group that had to do with environmental issues. And I think the issue of privilege is one that isn't discussed enough when it comes to Greta. As we know from pictures taken inside her house, they have furniture that, someone like me could only dream of owning. And her family is extremely well off, and she does not know true hardship, even with her disabilities. If you claim an adult stage, if you're saying that, okay, I'm going to speak on the world stage about these very, very serious issues, you have to be able to not have it be a monologue, but a dialogue. And I think that she has only reached the monologue stage, unfortunately, and it's time to make this conversation about climate a dialogue where she answers a lot of very difficult questions.
And with that, Annika and I walked to the very community where Greta Thunberg says her childhood was ruined. What we saw there, I almost couldn't believe. So this is the community that Greta Thunberg actually was raised in. This is where her childhood took place. She might have actually played in this exact sandbox. Now, I don't want to show you her exact house because I know what everyone will say, but you can get a taste of the community that she lives in. Come check this out. Look at these buildings. It is almost like a storybook. It's like a children's book. The colors, the tranquility here. This is where every child in the world would love to grow up. This is the childhood that Greta supposedly never had. Dude, I'm not aggressive.
We are security, and you are dangerous for us. So get
No, I'm not. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. This late in the winter, days don't last too long in Stockholm, so we packed up our stuff and headed back to our hotel, getting ready for Greta's 72nd school strike. So I'm here standing outside of Greta Thunberg's alleged school strike, right outside of the Swedish Parliament here today on January 3rd. There's not a large crowd, but there certainly is a media gaggle. And what I find interesting is there's actually a large security presence that looks like private security right now. Who is paying for them? Greta Thunberg says she doesn't take money from anyone. Her parents pay for everything she needs, apparently. At least that's what we've been told. Her parents are paying for 3 security guards here on her school strike. I find that hard to believe. Let's go see what we can find out. It turned out there were far more security personnel than we first thought. There were 3 very close to her, but there were far more spread around inconspicuously around the block. I approached a few of them to figure out who they were and what they were doing. So what was the breakdown? Who was paying them? Here's what they said. Hey guys, how are you? Are you guys security for Greta Thunberg?
Yes.
Who's paying for you?
I don't want to do any comments on this.
Do you come to every strike that she's on?
I don't comment. No comments.
You have 3 security guards here for a small strike over there. What do you expect to happen? And I'm really curious to know who's paying for you and your equipment, your travel, your car here.
I'm sorry. I don't comment anything. I'm sorry.
Is Greta Thunberg angry at all that you use a gasoline-powered car?
No comments, please. No comments. Okay.
Has she asked you to use an electric vehicle at all?
No comments, okay.
Why is that? Like, these are pretty simple questions.
No comments.
Greta Thunberg is an international presence, and your security team has gone virtually unnoticed.
You have to understand that we cannot give you any comments.
No, I can. I can ask some pretty simple questions. I'm a reporter. I came across...
I can't answer. I can't answer.
Has just the one question then. Has Greta asked you to use an electric vehicle? Do you think it's weird that you are acting as security for Greta, but she demands electric vehicles? She demands that she takes a boat across the ocean, but her security team can drive a gasoline-powered vehicle?
You're a funny guy. No comments.
All right. It's okay. Don't touch me, though. Thank you. Excuse me. How are you? Sorry? How are you?
I'm fine.
It's a little cold, hey? Would you be able to tell me, you're Greta Thunberg security, who's paying you?
No, I don't want to.
You don't want to tell the world who's paying you?
No, because I don't think the world needs to know who's paying me. So,
is Greta Thunberg paying you personally?
Come on, I don't want to answer your questions.
How about you, sir? Who's paying you?
Why don't you stop?
Stop what? Asking questions?
Please, yes.
Why would you want me to do that?
No comments.
Interesting. No, you won't tell me. Is Greta Thunberg paying you personally, or? I like the jacket, Arc'teryx. It's an expensive brand.
Yeah.
How many would you say? 5, 6, 7? Are you from Sweden yourselves?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you follow her wherever she goes? Did you come to Canada when she was manipulating our general election? No. Do you work for Parliament?
don't want to answer your question, so...
The world wants answers then.
Okay.
Do you think they deserve to know who's paying for Greta Thunberg's trips across the ocean, her hotels, her security, her platforms, her audiovisual equipments?
Nah,
No?
I don't think so. No.
Do you believe in her cause?
In?
Her cause.
It's her cause.
But you just get paid to protect her, so it doesn't really matter. All right. I respect that.
So fine, Greta Thunberg has major security here. Who's paying them? Still not totally clear on that. Why are they undercover and trying to act all James Bondy? Also don't know the answer to that. What I do want to know, though, is why are certain people allowed to go to Greta and ask questions? And how do these security guards know exactly who we are already and wouldn't let us come near them at all? Why are some people allowed to ask questions? People who are in favor of Greta's campaign, why are they allowed to ask questions and get close? And why are people who are critical of Greta not allowed to be anywhere near the action? It seems like they don't want tough questions being asked because they know if someone starts to pull that one thread, perhaps the thread that Greta Thunberg's school strike was never really a school strike, then it will all come collapsing down. Greta, would you be able to tell me what school are you actually striking from? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Show me your press card.
Yes. So when you actually started your school strike, were you leaving the classroom or did you have a day off from your school that you were at? You know the school that you go to, you have multiple days off a week. You don't actually have to go to class 9 to 5. Did you walk valiantly from the classroom like you've led the world to believe? Or did you just have days off on Friday?
Nice to meet you again. I remember you from Edmonton.
Yes. I remember your Tesla. It was full of plastic.
Oh, it was not my Tesla. I shared it with many others.
You're just messing around.
No, I'm trying to ask her questions.
Yeah, I know.
Don't touch me. Don't touch me.
Oh,
this is a
I
free
can touch
country.
it.
No, this is a free country.
Yeah, but you're behaving.
I'm behaving fine.
Yeah,
I'm behaving fine.
Yeah, I know.
Who are you? Who's paying you?
Who's paying me?
Yes.
Why do you wonder? Do you have a press ID?
Yes.
Yeah, show me that.
Who are you?
Who are you?
Show me your ID. Who told you you could be a rent-a-cop?
Yeah.
Don't touch me.
Shit. Don't touch you. Yeah, but it's a free country. I'm standing here, right?
Okay,
yeah,
continue to do that.
Yeah.
Take it easy.
Now, I had been banging my head against the wall trying to get past the security guard, so I decided that maybe Annika would have a better shot at asking Greta some different questions. I handed Annika my equipment and she was able to sneak past Greta's security and ask some questions. Unfortunately, Greta didn't seem all too interested in answering when she said that she was with Canadian media. Greta repeatedly said in Swedish that she didn't want to answer any questions and she couldn't be forced to conduct an interview. The questions were very simple, and all we wanted to know is if Greta Thunberg and her family had ever contacted Igmar Reinshag before the fateful day on August 20th, 2018, when he coincidentally walked across her.
Inga frågor överhuvudtaget. Jag är en sak som jag är nyfiken på var vilken som var första dagen du började skolstrejken. För jag försökte hitta informationen med och jag hittar ingenstans.
Jag behöver inte göra intervju om jag inte...
Okej, så inga frågor överhuvudtaget?
Nej.
Inga?
Jag har gjort väldigt många intervjuer där redan.
Okej.
The very first day of your protest, did Reinshag accidentally run into you? Was it an accident, or was it orchestrated by your parents well beforehand? I can understand why people are concerned that the premise of your school strike was never actually the innocent thing that it was. You never were actually leaving a classroom, were you? When the public relations specialist just chanced upon you, was it set up, Greta? Greta, when you were sitting on the train, when they took a photo of you sitting on the ground, how scripted was that? Was it pre-planned? Did you know that there was going to be the blowback from the German train authority pointing out that you were actually in first class? Hey, what are you doing?
Stop here.
Don't touch me. Who do you think you are?
Go ahead.
Don't.
No, we're serious.
I don't care.
Get the fuck off.
Who do you think you are? I'm asking questions.
Yes.
I want to ask Greta some questions.
Yes.
Don't touch me.
Yeah.
What do you think people are going to say when it gets out that a security guard from Sweden punched a reporter 3 times in the gut?
Sure. I don't care.
You don't care?
No. You know, this is communist country. We let
Don't
don't touch me. They're pushing.
Just
that's
larger frame, wide angle of this guy being an asshole.
Yeah.
My feet are planted here.
Oh, they're
if
planted,
you touch
yeah.
me, I'll be reporting you to superior.
Yeah, sure. What are you doing here?
Are you from Hong
What
Kong?
are you doing here?
What do you mean, what am I doing here? I'm a reporter. I'm asking questions.
You're
now
a
I'm focused
reporter.
on you instead of Greta, who I should be focused on.
Fuck off. Don't get so close. Don't touch me.
I'm not touching you. I haven't moved.
You're standing on my foot.
Once. I haven't moved once.
Hey. Who?
What are you doing? Dude, I'm not aggressive.
We are security, and you are dangerous for us. So get
No,
the
I'm not.
fuck
Leave
off.
me alone. Leave me alone. Stop. I'm allowed to do this. Where are we? Hong Kong? China? No, this is Sweden.
Do you have ID?
Sweden.
Do you have ID?
Yeah, I do, and I'll show it to you.
Thank you.
No. Fuck off.
Are you here illegal? I think so.
Yeah?
You're done with this now.
No, I'm not. I don't think I am.
So fucking behave you.
Huh?
Behave you.
Behave me? I will. Believe me. We wanted to ask some questions and prove that she wouldn't be able to answer them. Your hands on me wasn't a part of this. You didn't need to be a part of this. You could have left me alone. Turned out fine, didn't it? You could have left me alone. You didn't. And it's going to blow back on you. We asked the questions of Greta. She turned her back on me in the last pitch. She answered a few at the start. She answers a few of Annika's a little bit by saying, I don't have to partake in this. But at the end, the security guards here violently shoved me. 2 of them did. One off camera, one blatantly on camera. And then he had the gall to come up to me and ask if I was here legally. Like he was joking, like he was going to arrest me because I was here illegally. That's funny, coming in Sweden, where bombings and rapes are happening every single day here because of the people that they have no idea who are in their country and frankly don't even care. But when it comes to asking Greta Thunberg questions, Saint Greta, well, they're going to shove you, they're going to push you, they're going to threaten you, and they're going to intimidate you. I hope that this was enlightening. That Greta Thunberg's school strike was never what we were led to believe. She goes to a school where she's allowed to leave. She's not striking from the classroom, valiantly taking a battalion of students with her and striking at the Swedish parliament. No, she has days off when she's feeling a little uncomfortable or ill or just doesn't want to go to class. It's not a strike in any sense of the word. Where is her money coming from? Is it coming from Reinshog still? They had a bit of a falling out. We're not sure what happened there, but we're not sure who's paying these security guards. We're not sure who's paying for her captain of the boat to fly from the United Kingdom to the United States to ship her back over the sea. We don't know where the money's coming from, and we need to get to the bottom of it. More work needs to be done to expose Greta Thunberg. We still don't know who is paying for Greta's elite international security, or her domestic security for that matter, that eclipsed her protest numbers earlier this morning. If you want to contribute to our research and to the work that we're doing exposing Greta Incorporated, please go to gretainc.com. If you can pitch in a few bucks to help us with our hotel, our flights here from Canada, it would go a long ways to making sure that we can continue to uncover the secrets that Greta's handlers don't want you to find out. Thank you so much for watching in Stockholm, Sweden. For Rebel News, I'm Kian Bexty.
Greta, would you say you're a child actor? Are you a child actor or an expert? How would you describe yourself? Ezra Levant here for Rebel News. I'm standing outside the CNBC studio, the same one where the vice president threatened to clock our friend Avi Yamini. Of course, it's where all the VVIPs pop by to give their propaganda message, dutifully transcribed by the media party here.
How dare you!
It is the most important person in the world, according to the World Economic Forum. It is young Greta Thunberg. So we'll see if we can catch a minute of the young lady's time. Greta, how many times did you rehearse your arrest at the German coal mine? How many times did you rehearse it? Because it looked staged. Is it true? How many times did you rehearse your arrest? Greta, how many times did you film your arrest, and why was it staged that way?
Greta, considering you've not spent much time in school, how do you know so much about climate change?
Greta, maybe you want to talk to a real journalist. What did you talk? You here in Davos? Was it successful?
Greta, as a real journalist, is climate change as real as your arrest?
Greta, how far are you willing to go? You're willing to break the law. Will you renounce violence? Will you renounce violence, Greta? Or do you support Antifa? You've worn an Antifa shirt before. Are you in favor of Antifa?
Greta, how did you get here today? What was your climate footprint in traveling here?
What's your plan while you're here, Greta?
Vibe. What? Will we have a Fridays for Future demo tomorrow here?
Greta, how do you feel about discussing climate change with the delegates here when nearly all of them take private jets? Do you think at least the fact these delegates take private jets is a bad thing against, what you believe in? All of this could be done via Zoom, so surely you should be encouraging all the delegates here, especially the likes of US Special Envoy John Kerry for Special Envoy for Climate Change. Surely you should be saying to these people, you should be doing this via Zoom with a much smaller carbon footprint, surely? Greta, avoid my questions if climate change is a con.
Greta, what do you think about Bitcoin?
Well, I think that says enough.
Greta, energy prices in Europe have never been higher. Is this a good thing or a bad thing? Are you happy that natural gas is so expensive so people can't afford it? Or do you think that's bad?
Greta, it's getting quite cold in Davos. When can I expect some global warming?
Greta, would you say you're a child actor? Are you a child actor or an expert? How would you describe yourself?
Greta, are there any climate actions planned whilst you're here with all the other activists?
Sure. I'm sure people are planning things.
Greta, are you used to gentler questions, or do you ever talk to people who disagree with you? Greta, who was filming your arrest in Germany? Because it looked like you did that in several takes, didn't you? You were posing with the police. He's answering for you. He's answering for you. He said you had an agency.
Sometimes I wish I had one. It would be much simpler then.
Well, who was filming you then?
I don't know media.
You don't know who was filming you in Germany? He said he knows. He says it was an agency.
News agency, you idiot.
Exactly.
Come on, get out, really.
Do you normally have reporters defending you?
Yeah. It's very likely that the German police and RWE, a fossil fuel company, would stage an arrest.
How many times were you arrested? Because you posed for several times, didn't you?
Sure.
What is your main message to the people who are at the World Economic Forum? What message do you want to portray whilst you're here?
Well, of course, it depends on who you are. Some people are more responsible for this crisis than others, certainly. Careful, because here there are cars.
How come you never protest Saudi Arabia or Russia? You only protest Western energy. Why have you never criticized Vladimir Putin or OPEC?
Yeah, I have never done that. Never, ever.
Well, will you do so now? Will you condemn OPEC energy?
Greta, can you condemn every single delegate that's come here on a private jet? Surely that's something you should condemn.
You can do it too.
I could do it, but you're the one who has such a strong stance against climate change. And, if it's true, I commend your efforts, but could you condemn them taking private jets to these meetings?
Why won't you condemn private jets? Have you ever been on a private jet even once?
I own 100 private jets.
Well, have you been on, how about once? Have you ever been on a private jet?
All the time, yes.
I wonder why you won't answer me in a straight answer.
Greta, do you have any meetings with any people who are here? Any politicians? Any high business people as you're here?
Depends on how you define that.
Well, can you tell us who you're having talks to?
No.
Why are you having secret meetings?
Greta, do you think that in Davos, the big companies here are really interesting by climate change?
Well, I guess all we have to do is see what they do.
Let's get back to those private meetings. Why are you having private meetings? Secret meetings? Who are they having secret meetings with?
Come on, you let other people ask questions. Yes, please. You believe them?
It's free speech, isn't it?
It is, but come on.
Are you fighting the establishment or are you now part of the establishment?
What are you doing?
When it comes to solving things like climate change and heading in a different direction, do you agree with criminal damage caused by groups such as Just Oil in order to get the climate message across? Do you think it is justified?
Are they called Just Oil? That would not be a very good name for...
Sorry, Just Stop Oil.
Greta, this is your opportunity right here. You don't seem to be taking it very seriously.
Sorry?
This is your opportunity to stop and tell us what you care about and what you're fighting against. You seem to be joining the establishment, not fighting them anymore. Are you not one of them?
One of who?
What, the people on the private jets and the helicopters flying in here to tell us how to live our lives?
Yes, because I have many private jets of my own, yes.
It's okay. I want to move here.
Sorry. Okay. The point being, you have to condemn all of them equally, otherwise it's hypocrisy, right? No? I don't see how that's funny.
I don't take anything seriously, so I laugh all the time, so don't take it personally.
Okay.
Greta, where did you learn everything you know about things like climate change? Where did you learn all that?
Yeah, that's a good question. I wish I knew.
So if you wish you knew, how do you know so much? Surely if you know so much, you would know where you learned all this from, surely?
Who has said that I know so much?
Well, because you are deemed as an expert worldwide when it comes to climate change. You speak on global stages when it comes to climate change, and ultimately some of the things you say lead global policy.
If that was the case, then the world would look completely different, I assure you.
What would you like to do to make the world look completely different? That's a fair question, surely?
First, I would like to eat lunch, maybe.
Are you going to be eating bugs to save the planet for this lunch?
I think I'm gonna take... I'll see.
Greta, do you make an opportunity to listen to different voices and opinions that differ from your own? Do you try and take challenge on board when it comes to climate?
Sure.
If you want to end fossil fuels, how did you get to Davos today?
I came yesterday, I didn't come today.
How did you travel here?
Several trains.
Several trains or planes?
I took a private jet, of course.
Took a private jet?
Yes.
I mean, you laugh about this, but surely if it's such a big issue, it's surely no laughing matter. I mean, this is an opportunity for you to try and get people who don't agree with your message to try and see it from your side of the view and to maybe change their ways, surely?
Yeah, I wish I could tell that to myself sometimes to take things more seriously, but you know, I'm just a young person. I tend to laugh at most things.
Do you regret encouraging young people to miss school?
No. Does anyone have any idea where we are?
No.
We are. Tell us where you want to go and I can tell you where it is. Yes.
Greta, who operates your Twitter account for you? Who operates your Twitter account?
Oh, that's me. That's why it's so bad. I hate
Are you the only one who does it, or do other people help you?
Unfortunately, I'm the only one.
So no one else works? And all your social media, do you write it, or does a PR agency write it?
It would be much easier if I had a PR agency that would write everything, to be honest.
I think you laugh when you're nervous, is that right?
Then I would be nervous all the time.
Greta, how do you deal with all of this? All people caring about what you have to say, listening what you have to say. Pretty big voice. How do you deal with all of that pressure?
I don't know, it's a bit weird that people seem to care what I think about things so much.
But you love it, don't you? You always put yourself out in the public. So you're not a private person. You love it. You're a celebrity. Are you a celebrity? Or a child actor? How would you describe yourself?
Who do you count as your chief advisors?
Siemens,
Yeah. Shell, Exxon, yeah.
It's quite something that the media are answering the questions for you. That's amazing.
We're just joking.
Same questions again and again.
You're asking the same questions and we get bored, you know?
Yeah.
Not only we, I guess.
Greta, who would you say is the biggest threat to climate change, whether that's one person, an organisation or a country?
Me.
And why would you say you're the biggest threat to climate change? Well, to the world going in a disastrous trajectory towards the world being damaged through climate change. Who do you think is the worst culprit?
Me.
Why you? Is it your hundreds of private jets?
Yes.
Where do you stand on China and their climate carbon footprint?
Yeah, as a climate activist, of course, you love when people emit carbon dioxide. Yeah, that's really our thing.
I mean, Greta, you're not taking this very seriously. This seems to be a big issue to you, unless it's just simply a job, in which case line your pockets with lots of money. Surely you'd want to actually have an adult opinion on the likes of China, surely?
I have opinions about lots of things, yes.
Could you share your opinion on China with us?
Obviously, I love it when people emit carbon dioxide.
Every time a Western government implements a net zero policy, it's common folk that are suffering, especially in a cost of living crisis. Do you have anything to say on that?
Yeah, it's horrible that people are being affected by different things, like example, the climate crisis and so on. People are being displaced and losing their lives. It's horrible.
But they can't afford to eat or heat their homes because of the net zero policies.
Yeah, that's definitely why we are experiencing the cost of living crisis, yes.
I agree, thank you.
You've been here before, you've had a big speech that made a proper impact. Do you think it did anything? Did anything change?
Well, we can only see where we are now. The global emissions of greenhouse gases are still increasing. But we are a movement that is growing.
We are in movement, yes.
Cars.
But is the movement not turning people off, away from your cause?
Sorry?
Is the movement not turning people away from your cause? The tactics that are being employed?
Ingen aning. Det får tiden säga, antar jag.
Do you agree with all the radical tactics people are taking in your name?
I think the only one taking action in my name is me, I hope.
You are the leader of this movement.
I hope not.
Therefore, would you condemn people taking radical action and prefer democracy instead?
Sorry?
Would you encourage people to take democratic action rather than radical action?
To protest is to take democratic action.
Greta, can you condemn everyone who has caused criminal damage in terms of to try and get the point across to fight climate change?
I left because there wasn't many people in there. Are you?
Russia and China are building more coal-fired power stations. Why should those of us in the West suffer because of net zero when they are not doing their part?
Being weird because it's snow.
Greta, you once stood on a stage and said, "How dare you," passionately and emotionally, because people weren't doing enough. And now you don't seem to be taking it seriously. Why the sudden change?
I don't know.
If you could say one thing to people who oppose you to convince them, what would that be?
Sorry, we're...
If you say one thing to people who oppose you to convince them of your argument, what would it be?
I wouldn't say anything.
But surely if you cared about climate change that much, you would surely say something to try and get them to want to do something else about the way we are going in terms of climate change.
Well, Thank you. This has been a pleasure. We're gonna leave now. We would appreciate if you didn't follow.
Thank you. Thanks, Greta.
Thank you.
Well, there you have it. Greta Thunberg walking and talking for quite a while with several Rebel News journalists and several mainstream media journalists who sometimes even answered questions for her. They knew the script so well. I think the thing I was struck by, and come here, there's a journalist saying we were just correcting you, dude. That tells you about the kind of media that are normally covering Davos. They're narrative enforcers, they're conformists, and they don't ask skeptical questions. But in the case of Greta Thunberg, what was so striking was, as my colleague Callum Smiles pointed out, this is the young woman who stood at the United Nations and said, "How dare you? How dare you?" and mustered her fury. But when she was asked question after question, and I mean legitimate good faith questions, she giggled, she laughed, and in some cases she said absurd things like, "I have 100 private jets," or "I like coal." And none of it made sense to me other than my realization of who she is, where she's from, what her parents are like, and that she really is a child actor. I think we just learned everything there was to learn about Greta, and I'm so glad we caught it because we were waiting about 2 hours in the bloody cold for that. So thank you, Callum. Thanks to our hardy cameramen who are freezing. Benji, great work. Thank you very much, Ed, for being right on the spot. And what a pleasure to have Calvin with us to bring another point of view. Calvin, a very thoughtful presenter at GB News. What a pleasure to have him here. Another very interesting day here at Davos, and it pays off to wait for these VVIPs. Last point. You'll remember there was an enormous crowd out front. There was probably 50 people at the height, and Greta was simply taking her time to come out. I have not seen 50 people muster for John Kerry, the former Secretary of State. I have not seen 50 people muster for Tony Blair, the former British PM. Greta is their prophet, and she has been insulated from scrutiny. Well, we're called Rebel News for a reason, because we ask questions that other people don't like. Callum, congratulations. Calvin and the rest of our team, another great day at Davos. To see all our footage from all our different interviews and all our different scrums, go to wefreports.com. If you think this kind of journalism that you've just watched is unique and valuable, and I think it is, please chip in a little bit to our crowdfunding. We brought a crew of 7 people with us from Australia, Canada, and the UK. We flew economy class all the way, but if you can help us cover those costs, you can do that at wefreports.com. Thanks very much. And we still got 2 days of action, so keep coming back.